And so I'd like to open it up for some questions. Andrew, have any questions come in?
Well, yeah, it looks like we're getting a few here. Trevor asked, what languages can I use to build my site?
Yeah, that's a great question. So since everything is running up in Microsoft Azure, Fathom can host multiple languages and frameworks. I already showed Next.js and Svelte. We're talking languages like Angular, React, Gatsby. I said Next.js and Svelte, many more. Also static site generators like Eleventy, Hugo, Jekyll, Docusaurus. And I don't want to forget about the static site builders or the visual site builders, that I was just showing that I use for my monolith. Things like builder.io, Plasmic, Framer, all these things create code that Fathom can host for you up in Azure.
Sweet.
Any other questions?
Yeah. Matt asked, what would you do to continue to modularize this site?
So I would probably break, let's go back to the site. I would probably break out the homepage to its own repo. I would break the brand out into its own repo. The dashboard is already its own repo. And I would break digital out into its own repo. And it's something that, allows me to have independent teams working on these pages. And, one team is not blocked by another team. One team, when they have their stuff ready, they can push it out. They can choose any version or GitHub build that they want to use. And again, if the homepage has some updates that they want to release, they can do that. And they're not tied to this monolith where the brand team maybe isn't ready. And so the brand team is going to hold up the homepage team from pushing their latest updates. And so, it allows teams to work autonomously and just avoid things like merge and versioning conflicts.
Cool. We have a couple questions from James Bond.
Nice.
Thank you for doing this. Can you show setting up another route?
Yeah, of course. So again, this is the monolith. I set up the /dashboard route. Let's do another one for reports, and I'll just host that dashboard again, the Power BI report. And show how the same repo can be hosted on more than one route. So this one is a view package. This one's going to be that dashboard. Select my YAML file. Let's save this. And you can see how quick this goes. I don't have to get my IT department involved. I'm not actually going up to Microsoft Azure on my own. Not once do I have to log into the Azure portal to do any of this. Fathom handles all that complexity for me behind the scenes and very much acts like a virtual developer, setting everything up in Azure, setting up scale, reliability, uptime, all that stuff. And so again, here's my /reports route. I can just launch it right here if I want to see it. Now running on /reports. And again, just to show how it's tied to this main site, here's the main site. I can just do /reports. And here's the reports. The main monolith site right now doesn't have like a header button to go to reports, but it's something I could add. And again, just right on the fly, I added just a new route and pointed it to just a totally different repo than the rest of this stuff. What else do you have, Andrew?
Yeah, James also asked if you could explain a little more about how multiple teams can work and collaborate using Fathom.
Yeah, of course. So again, in my, I created my project, which is the high-end site. And then each of these over here could be individual teams. This project right here, this route is tied to, an NPM package, which is tied back, this NPM package, I deployed it from this repo. So this could just be one team, just working on this high-end site, and, they can deploy their updates, whenever they want, any version of their updates, they could go up or down. Similarly, this dashboard team could be its own, independent team. It could be one person, it could be a team of people, but, again, they're also in their own repo, that's this repo here. And, they can release their code independently. And, again, with this one, they can choose any GitHub build, that they want to use. And same, with this reports team, so it really allows me, I could start stacking these things on. So if I have a store, I could have /store and have my store team, maybe I might have a blog, and so I have /blog and I have my blog team, maybe for authentication, I have a /login, and that's a totally different team that's just working on my login. And so, with Fathym, it very much opens the doors that all of these different teams can be working together. But again, they're not blocked by each other, and we avoid lots of things like merge and versioning conflicts.
Sweet. Couple more questions here. This one from Glacier Magic. Is there a limit to how many different projects, routes, apps, or frameworks that I can use?
So it's a great question. Today there's not a limit, but it's coming soon. At some point you'll be restricted on the number of projects you can create. I have a number of projects here, but the number of projects you can create, the number of routes within that, and then even the number of apps within that. And, it's all just going to be, configured in our pricing plan. And some of this is just, us covering our costs in Azure. The more of these things that we set up, the more Microsoft charges us. And so, it's very much we have to recoup some of those costs.
Cool. And the last question, unless anybody wants to add any questions they might have into the chat, does Fathym have any templates to help, a new user get started?
Yeah, that's a great question. I use these templates all the time. And you can even see over here, the Vue, the Arcade, React, Angular, like some of these I used we have some great getting started templates and just some projects and stuff. I can create a custom project if I just want to go off of any npm package or like a zip file or GitHub repo. We also have a couple of sites that, or projects that you can just launch right out of the gate. So we have this one for creating your first micro front end. And again, this is just kind of showing how we set it up in Fathym. So when you launch this, it sets up a new project for you, and you can very much just see how it's all set up. Very similar to what I did today, except this one is just the click of a button. Here's one how you can create a website with no code. So it's a visual site builder. Here's some other ones. All of these down below here, I can launch them if I just want to see it. If I just want to play around with it and just get my hands on it right away. But all these other ones, I can fork them. And so then when I fork them, first I authorize with GitHub. And then when I fork these, it takes all these getting started projects, for DocuSource, Gatsby, here's a blog, here's Fathym's Arcade, any of these that I fork, they actually, fork it over to my GitHub repo. And then I can take them into, Visual Studio, make changes to them, push it back up to GitHub, and then come into Fathym and, increase the version, decide what version I want to have launched. And so I use these getting started templates all the time. The other thing that I like about these templates, which I wasn't really showing too much, is, let's see, let me get in here and show how on these repos, Fathym sets up, all the automated GitHub actions for me. And so, behind the scenes, this is all stuff that, I'm not very familiar with how to set up. And so to have Fathym behind the scenes, set the stuff up for me when I use one of their templates, it's really great. And it allows me to just get up and running quickly and, kind of start with a getting started project, or even, started with a blog or something like that. And then I can just mod it, add my logos, add my colors and things like that. And it's, I'm not just necessarily starting a project from scratch. So yeah, these getting started templates are great. And we're adding more getting started templates to this all the time. So, this is what we have today. Each time you come back, there'll probably be more.
Awesome. It looks like that's it for questions, unless there's any last minute ones anybody wants to throw out. Um, but it looks like we're good.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us today. The whole idea was just to show how you could take your monolith and bring it into Fathom and start breaking out some of your routes so that they don't all have to be hosted, in the same spot. And again, let's show it one more time. Here's the high-end site. Here's the monolith, that I created in the visual site builder. This has 3 of the pages, the home page, the digital page, and the brand page. And then in Fathom, I'm able to set up these slash dashboard and slash report routes using totally different frameworks and languages. And now here, when we come to the site, it's seamless to the end user. Here's the home page, here's slash brand, here's slash dashboard, written in a totally different language. This one's in Svelte, where the rest of this site is built in Next.js. Cool. Well, thanks for joining us. And, please keep your eyes open for when we do the next Discord, and we can dig back in and learn some more great stuff about Fathom. All right. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Jeremy. And just wanted to add, if anybody has any questions or needs support, we have a couple text channels. And, if you post any, like I said, questions or support issues in there, we'll be, happy to help you as fast as we can.
Awesome. Thanks, Andrew.
Yep. Thanks, Jeremy, and thanks everybody for joining.